It began like any regular Saturday. I walked into the living room and saw my husband, Aaron, sitting silently on the couch, my phone clutched in his hand. His expression was drained of color, almost ghost-like, and I instantly sensed something was terribly wrong. I asked what was going on, but he didn't respond. He just handed me the phone, his fingers slightly shaking. The screen showed a paused video, one I had completely forgotten existed. When I hit play, I could feel my heart start to race. It was a recording from more than a year ago, taken during a girls' trip. We'd rented a beach house, were drinking, laughing, and letting our guards down. What started off as harmless fun spiraled into one careless moment, a tipsy kiss with a stranger, filmed by a friend as a joke. We laughed it off back then and never mentioned it again. I thought it was meaningless, buried in the past. I never told Aaron. And now, watching his expression, not furious, just crushed, I understood the depth of what I had done. He didn't say anything once the video ended. He just sat still, his breathing heavy, eyes shining as if he might cry but wouldn't let himself. It wasn't only about the kiss. It was the lie I lived by not telling him. The real wound came from the silence, not the act. "I trusted you," he said at last, voice trembling. "I never thought I'd be the one seeing this." I tried to speak, to explain it meant nothing, that I was drunk, that I didn't even remember it until now. But none of it mattered. I saw a piece of him break. The part of him that believed I could never hurt him like this. He didn't scream. He didn't blame. He just got up, went to the bedroom, and calmly began packing a bag. That was the hardest part. His quiet, composed devastation. I followed him, pleading for a chance to explain, to fix it. But his silence was more powerful than shouting ever could be. He left that night. Said he needed space to think. Days turned into weeks, and I heard nothing. I called, sent texts, even stopped by his parents' place where he was staying, but he wouldn't speak to me. Friends told me he was distant, barely talking, hardly eating. And the worst part was knowing it was all my doing, not just the betrayal, but the shattering of the safe, trusting space we had built. We were best friends before we were lovers. We laughed over the dumbest things. Bad TV, late-night drives, silly inside jokes. And now, every memory was tainted by a careless moment I thought had no weight. I kept wondering how the video surfaced. It must have been backed up on the cloud by one of the girls, and maybe Aaron stumbled upon it while using my phone for something else. Maybe looking for a photo or directions. However it happened, it felt like fate catching up with me. A truth I had hidden finally uncovered. Then, nearly a month later, I got an email from Aaron. It was short. He said he wasn't ready to forgive, and maybe never would. He admitted he still loved me, but said love alone wasn't enough. Once trust is broken, it doesn't come back easily. And he ended with the words, "I don't know who you are anymore." I read those lines over and over, each one a dagger I knew I deserved. I wanted to argue that I was still me, but deep down I knew he was right. I had become someone who made a foolish choice and kept it hidden. I became the person who hurt the one man who had loved me unconditionally. Time passed. Aaron never returned. From what I heard, he never dated again. He buried himself in his career and traveled often. Meanwhile, I remained in the same apartment, stuck in the same routine, surrounded by traces of what we once had. The couch we used to curl up on. The mug he always used. The pictures I couldn't bring myself to take down. I see him sometimes around town. He doesn't ignore me, but he doesn't smile either. There's a hollowness in his gaze. Not anger. Just something missing, like a light that went out and never came back on. I've tried to move on, but some errors linger forever. Some choices freeze in memory, like that video. If I could rewind time and change it, I would. But regret doesn't rewrite the past. It only shows you the weight a single mistake can carry when love is at stake. And the truth is, that video changed everything. My husband was never the same again. And honestly, neither was I.